Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for attending today's webinar. My name is Tom Simon, Product Marketing Manager for 3D Systems. Today we're going to be talking about Team Platform and walking you through this cloud-based application. There'll be a Q&A at the end, which you can fill out your questions for in the question box located on your menu screen, and we will answer them as quickly as possible. But without further ado, I'm going to turn it over now to Mike Joyce, who's going to talk a little about the product, and then we'll move on to a live demonstration. So Mike, go ahead.
Thank you, Tom. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Joyce, and I am the Sales Manager of Team Platform here at 3D Systems. My colleagues and I are here today to introduce you to our unified project management solution that's accessible anytime, anywhere for your entire business. Today, we'll be covering specifically the day in the life of a Team Platform user and showcase why you should start using our robust project management solution immediately. Since Team Platform is a cloud-based resource, your engineers, no matter where they are globally located, can now quickly share over 135 different file formats, plus interact online with sales reps, project managers, clients, partners, as well as ownership. This unique combination of secure file delivery and simplified collaboration really does connect teams to shorten project cycles. Some great features are the centralized workspaces, where you can manage everything project related all in one place. Plus, Team Platform is completely integrated with CAD and truly does understand the full assembly of your CAD models. And this is something that we'll really highlight later on in today's webinar, so stay tuned. Our product is very user-friendly. No IT guys required. Team Platform runs in the cloud on our secure servers, so you don't have to mess with anything technical. Anyone can use the solution within your company, no matter if you're an engineer, sales, or marketing rep, or even in the human resources department. You will immediately experience precise communication with colleagues and ultimately manage projects and tasks faster. Okay, at this point, we're going to take a quick 30-second break for a poll question. Then I'm going to hand it off to Scott Anderson, our Director of Cloud Sales, who's going to walk you through the day in the life of a Team Platform user. Thanks again, everyone, for joining.
Scott, you can go ahead. Sorry, I was on mute. We are, excuse me, my name is Scott Anderson. I'm with Team Platform, and I'm the Director of Sales. And today we're going to walk through a day in the life of session to demonstrate Team Platform.
This part of the webinar is going to cover VisPower Technology Group, which is a sample team that we have set up. And it's worth mentioning that 3D Systems, the organization, uses Team Platform throughout multiple business units all throughout the organization. So the printers, the scanners, the software that gets developed, the way we interact with each other and with clients, 3D Systems is using this all across the globe. Today's demonstration team is VisPower Technology Group, and we're going to show an example of a typical type of relationship that takes place that will be informative to understand how a Team Platform gets used. Today, I'm going to assume the role of an owner or a salesperson that's interacting with a client. On my side of the wall, inside of VisPower, the sample team, I've got Mike, who's going to act as an engineer. And it's worth mentioning here that I could also be a VP of engineering within a larger organization like Mattel or Disney, or I could be a manager within an organization and interacting within a department in this organization. But for the case and the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to be the owner of VisPower Technology Group. The client that we're going to be interacting is an outside client, and the challenge here is having the client work with me and also allow me to work with engineers so that we can deliver a project to the client. And more specifically, the job that we're going to do is a service type of job where we're actually going to get a concept from the client. The client's going to provide input sample data, and we're going to work on it, produce some results, and deliver a final design. So the final design from VisPower, the company, is going to be a rendering of a model and a final CAD design. So the client is interacting with us from a non-technical perspective. He may or may not have CAD software. In this case, he's sharing some concept drawing. And the goal here is to get the data from the client, figure out what he needs, communicate with that client, and share it with engineering so that we can get some work done. So this is the basic scenario that we have set up to run through the demonstration. So with that, I'm going to jump over into my Team Platform sample team, which is VisPower, and log into the account. So all the Team Platform account access requires a username to get into the account. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is type in my username and type in my password and sign into the account. And jump into workspaces so that I can start interacting with the client. So at this point, I've had a phone call with the client. He's described to me some of the basic needs that he needs for the project. We're ready to do services, and I've got Mike ready to work on the project. Now, the client has some data and some information to share. I know that the type of CAD that he's looking for, the type of manufacturing that he's trying to work on, and I know the company's name, which is VitaCorp. So I can create a workspace called VitaCorp French Press, which is what this is in this case, and start interacting with the client by first getting some data from him. So he's got a couple of drawings and a couple of images that he wants to share with me, and I want to convey that information to my engineer and explain some of the requirements of this project. Now, in order to get that data from the client, what I can do is immediately set up a customized web page, and I'm going to show you how quickly I can do that. It takes a matter of seconds to create a customized web page. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a client upload. I'm going to customize it by saying VitaCorp upload page. Save that page and insert an uploader into the page. So what I'm doing right now is I'm creating a custom upload link for my client that I can share, give to him. This is going to allow him to upload files directly into a workspace. The workspace is where we're going to do all the project interaction, and I'm going to be interacting with Mike here at a later point. But let's just share this page and show what we've created in a matter of seconds. So this is the shared page that I created. We can look at this shared page and send this out to the customer. So basically, the customer is going to have this custom branded page. It's going to have the company logo. It's going to be customized with his company name, and he's going to be able to upload files immediately to this page. So I would be able to basically send this link out via email. I could launch my email client and send an email send an email message out and say, please upload some files here. But basically, this is the view that he's going to get when he receives that page. So it's going to be as easy for him as picking the concept files or whatever files, large or small, he wants to upload. If these are massive videos or massive zips, big pieces of 3D data, any file format really of any size, he's going to be able to upload these, and they will end up directly inside of the workspace that I created, and we can take a look at that here. So those uploaded files end up directly inside of the workspace, and at this point, I've spoken with the client, I know the requirements, I have the uploaded files, and now I want to bring engineering into the equation. I want to invite Mike in, share some of the concepts, share some of the requirements. Now, our company, VizPower, has got a standard process for running through service projects. We've got a couple of questions that we always ask in the beginning of a project, and we have a couple of, let's see, that's strange. We have a couple of questions that we ask at the beginning of the project and a couple of things that take place on a regular basis. This helps us maintain efficiency project to project, because if we're asking the same questions and relaying the same information, then it just keeps things standardized, processed, quick, and responsive for the customer. This is really good when we're doing repeat work for the same type of customer, whether that's an internal customer or external customer like this one is here. This is a custom project template that we created, and it has a series of items like tasks. There's some requirements that need to be set, some processing that needs to take place, some customer review, and then finally customer delivery that needs to take place. Plus, there's some basic information that's asked for every project that I want to make sure is conveyed and recorded in every workspace that I create. So I can use a template. I'm using the standard template that we've created, which we've customized for our needs, and I can set some basic information like the start date for some of the tasks that are going to take place. I'll set that for today. And then I'll also have programmed into my custom field. Now, this can be done by any engineer. You don't need to be an IT specialist to do this. This is quick and easy to program. I can ask some of these custom field questions like, what's the client name? Well, it's Vitacorp. What's the result type? I know from talking to him that he needs some CAD files and some other results. That he's looking for SolidWorks formats, and that the delivery date is sometime next week. And then via phone call, renderings are important here. Okay. So I can save and apply this template, and basically what this is doing is it's applying a standard process to the workspace that we have in progress. So what we'll see in a second here is populated tasks with all of the expected task steps, plus all the custom fields stored within the workspace. All right, we've got, I'm not sure why this is happening. Okay, let's go back to the workspace. Okay, so we've applied the template, and maybe that, we'll close that. We've applied the template, and basically we've got all of the tasks set up, and we can look at what's standardized from project to project. So in every project, we want to start and configure requirements. We're going to process data, do project review, and deliver items to the client. Now, I want to invite Mike into this workspace so that he's aware of what's going on here. So I'm going to now invite Mike into the workspace. He's from engineering, so there's Mike Sang. And engineering's been formally invited. And now I can take a look at the list of tasks. Start and configure requirements. Well, I already have done that. I've set up custom fields, the client name, the result type, CAD format, and the renderings are important. I've also collected all of the concept files that I'm going to want to share with the client, that I received from the client that I'm going to want to share with engineering. So I've completed that task, and now I want to go on to the next task, which is process data. So I'm going to assign this to Mike Sang. And that's as easy as assigning the task to Mike Sang. And when I complete this task, basically what's going to happen is it's going to signal within the workspace that I've completed the first task, and it's automatically going to assign the next task and tell Mike via email that it's his turn to go up to bat. It's his turn to start working on the project. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mike and allow him to get involved in the project.
Thank you, Scott. All right, let's get to show my screen here. Oops. All right. My name is Mike, and as an engineer, I love Team Platform. It is hands down the best way to collaborate on a project, especially if you're sharing data. Whether you're a two-man team, a 10-person company, or part of a corporation of thousands, Team Platform is a tool that lets you easily work together and communicate efficiently. Speaking of which, let's check my email. All right, so as Scott mentioned, he invited me to that workspace and he assigned a couple tasks. And what you see here in my inbox is I've gotten notifications of the invite as well as the tasks. So I can take a look and say, oh, a task has been assigned to me. You can click in there and you'll see a link to that workspace. I'm just going to click on that. And it's going to bring me to the workspace right away. And I can take a look at here. I can see some of the tasks that I need to do. I can take a look at the pages, take a look at the files, and let's see. And specifically take a look at those concepts. And I can download those concept pages, or I can view them straight here in the web browser. Well, what's nice about viewing the pages in the web browser is that I can make annotations and comments, and those annotations and comments will be visible here in this workspace. Everything will be tracked, and that way if any other engineers are in the projects or if anyone comes in mid-project, they have a history of the project that they can go back and look at. All right. Now let's go ahead and jump into the actual project. Now when it comes to designing, the engineer's desktop will have a variety of tools. For example, if I'm designing from scan data, let's say, if I want to get a scan of this glass piece here, I'm going to use something like DesignX, where I can take a scan of an object and quickly come up with an editable CAD model. Now, if I wanted to share this CAD model, I could go ahead and go into my workspace here, and similarly to how Scott had jumped up and created an upload pile or upload page, I can do something similar where I can come in here and with drag and drop capabilities, put in the scan data. So let's go in here, I'll make a new folder and say, here is the glass scan. Create that folder here. And then drag and drop my STL into there. So I just drag and drop. You can see with ease how fast it was. I can just drag and drop. So if you're using a browser like Chrome, it has that capability. There it goes. It's pretty nice. But what's nice about using a Geomagic solution software is that embedded in the application is a sync client. So I can actually go in here and do File, and Team Platform is an option here, and actually upload the file straight to Team Platform. It's going to go in, it's going to take a look at my credentials, figure out which workspaces are available to me. I can click on that, and I can take a look at what's in here already. Here's that glass scan that I just dragged and dropped in there. So I can very easily go ahead and say, all right, yeah, this looks good. I'm going to click on this folder and click on Upload, and it's going to automatically go up there and sync this file up to that workspace. Now, as I mentioned before, the engineer's desktops varies, right? My client could be using AutoCAD, he could be using CATIA, or in this case, the client wants SOLIDWORKS. No problem. For example, I can jump into SOLIDWORKS here. I've got my part design. I can go ahead and design around that, make nice sleeves for it, create an assembly of that part. You know, everything's looking good so far. Make drawings. And of course, as requested, nice renderings of my product here. And while doing all this, I can rest assured that all the files I want for this project will automatically be synced to Team Platform. How? Well, that's because I'm using a desktop workspace manager. Basically, it's a sync client for Team Platform. When it's installed and running, it will sync workspaces between Team Platform and my computer. So folders and files that I have on Workspace or on my computer, let's say here, will also be at the workspace. So for example, let's take a look at watch it in action. So I have this rendering here. I'm going to go ahead and go to this workspace folder and take a look here and say here's some renderings, and let's say this is an updated collage. I wanted to increase the resolution. I can go ahead and drag and drop that over there, and so as long as I'm working in this folder, my sync client's going to go look in that and sync it right up into that workspace for me. So if I jump into my workspace, you can take a look, and it will automatically sync that file in there. Start the sync. Oh, there it goes. So you can see there, it's already started in the first sync, and it's actually right in there working around. So as we'll wait for that, I'll continue on. Now, what's nice about this sync client is if there are other engineers or managers working on the project and they have the sync client installed, the files aren't not only in the workspace, but they're also instantly synced to their computers. So if other engineers are working on the project, they're not waiting around. They can see it instantly, and it's incremental. So if I have a 50 megabyte file and I make a small, tiny change, maybe add just a small little feature, instead of syncing the whole 50 megabytes, it's actually just going to small that, half megabyte change. So basically what's going on there is I'm saving myself bandwidth and I'm saving me time. With the sync client, I can focus on the work. There's no more waiting for an FTP link, no more waiting for a Dropbox notification. It's just there. All right, so let's take a look at what I have everything together now. Go into my working folder here. You can work right out of the Team Platform Sync folder. I've got my assemblies and drawings, and you can see they're all synced with that little green check mark. All my solid parts are in there. The renderings, of course, are in there. I think I'm pretty good to go here. So what I'm going to do next is take a look, go back to my email here, and find that workspace. Oops. We're going to go ahead and let him know that the workspace is active. So similar to what Scott did before, I'm going to go ahead and go to Tasks, and say, hey, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going to hit check. So it's going to go ahead and move on to the next task list. And just to make sure, I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's assigned to Scott Anderson. So now I know that he has a notification letting him know that the project is done and ready for his review. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and take a 30-second break for a poll. And when we come back, Scott will go ahead and finish up the rest of this project.
Okay, thank you, Mike. At this point, we have been checking my email and actually doing some other things inside the team platform because I need to keep my shoes shined, and I've got a lot of projects going on, and as a salesman and owner, and I'm talking with a lot of clients and doing a lot of other things. But I did receive Mike's project review notification task, so this is great. And while I'm going through some of these other projects, I'm going to get to that. So let me just wrap some of these things up. Here's another project that I was working on with robots and larger tasks that's going on. It's got some more files and some more people. But I can quickly handle a lot of activities, so let's jump back to the workspace list and see what Mike's done. So right now we've got a fully baked workspace, and I can see that it's now my task. I'm up to bat. The task has been completed, so it's now my turn to finish the task. So that's effectively what Mike did. And I can look at some of the files that have been uploaded. I see compartmentalized file sections. I've got the concept that was uploaded initially with some of the drawings. I can see other photos that have been uploaded. This must have been when Mike was scanning the part using the 3D scanner, so I can see that step of the process. And I can also look at things like Word documents and Excel documents and reports, PDFs, presentations. None of those components are here in this part of the demonstration, but if I were to add any brochures or any other material that I wanted to share with the client, quotes, other collateral, I could easily share that here as well. I'm going to take a look at some of the design files because that was part of the requirement is to do a review. So let's review some of the design files. Let's pick the rod and take a look at that one. I've got the 2D view, so I can get a quick view of what's going on here. I'll also be able to capture this view from mobile. So if I was off to lunch or with a client, I could do a quick check of the file. And I can look through all of the other types of files like the assemblies and drawings. The 3D assembly file is going to be a nice one to show here, because not only can I look at the 3D file in the 3D viewer, so this is going to be one of the first times that we're going to show this to the audience, the 3D viewer, where I can view and rotate and hide components and make things transparent and otherwise check out the model. Even do things like explode and take screen grabs of the part. Here's a screen captured image of the part, which I can mark up and annotate and share within the workspace. Team Platform additionally understands the data that is being uploaded to it. Mike didn't have to do anything to upload these files, and me as a busy manager or busy business owner or busy salesman, I don't have the latest version of SolidWorks. I don't have the latest version of CATIA or Inventor. I don't have the latest mesh viewer on my computer. And even if I did, I've got enough sales projects and other activity open, that this 3D viewer gives me just what I need. Additionally, I know that my client, in this case, probably doesn't have the time or the resources to download and view every file one by one. So being able to provide these types of 3D views directly to the client is going to be an added plus. Team Platform inherently understands the uploaded files, and I can already tell Mike that this looks really good. I like the models. I like the renderings from what I can see in the 3D assembly. It looks great. And I can even take a look at the assembly tree. Again, Team Platform just understands this stuff. The files go up and these views get calculated automatically that allow me to understand and review and get an appreciation of exactly what has gone up here and how the model is constructed and how many what kind of data and what kind of information went in here. Now, what Mike didn't do is leave any comments on these files, from what I can tell. So I'm going to go ahead and leave a comment to Mike just to let him know that I've started reviewing the assemblies and started to review the data. Now, that kind of notification would have been delivered to me inside of my inbox, just like the notification that I'm leaving right here is going to be delivered to him inside of his inbox. So starting to review. Okay, and I can specify the recipient just to be Mike. Now, if I had multiple people inside of this workspace, a couple of engineers, a partner, somebody that I'm contracting out, maybe some other employees that I'm working with, this specificity helps narrow down the conversation so that Mike just gets that notification. So now Mike just knows that I'm starting to review. At this point, I'm gonna conclude that everything looks pretty good. The process data looks great. So the project review is complete, and I think Mike did a great job with what has been delivered here. So I'm going to say the project review is great, and now it's time to deliver to the client. So the question is, how do I get all these files, the 3D files, the drawings, the renderings? Let's take a look at that real quick. The renderings, and get these all delivered and off and shipped over to the client. Well, what we have is the same type of tool that we showed before for getting uploaded data from the client. We have that same type of tool to deliver files to the client. And the way that we're going to do that is in a shared page. So it took about 30 seconds to create the uploader to receive files from the client. Now I'm going to take about 30 seconds or so to deliver files to the client. So this is going to be a client delivery for, let's say, client review. Okay. We could have customized that to say a VitaCorp, and if we wanted to add any custom notes here, like these are the files for review, or some custom information, like please contact me if you have any questions. Let's set up a meeting time. I could add that information, but the point here that I'm really going to focus on is sharing those files. So at this point, instead of an uploader, I'm going to provide a download widget, and the download widget is going to allow me to select in a very granular sort of way the exact files that I want to share with them. So we could start with the assemblies and drawings folder, the design files, some pictures of the models being scanned, the concept. Probably want to have that up top, so I'm going to sort that to show up at the top of the list, and some of the renderings. And if you remember, those were some of the final results that we were going after, as well as things like maybe the glass mesh. And since we ended up taking a screen capture of the model, we could just throw that screen capture in there just for fun. So we got the physical model scan, the glass mesh, some assemblies and drawings, the design files, and the final rendering. So we can insert that into the page, and once that's inserted into the page, we can go through the same steps of sharing the file. Again, this is something that you can complete in seconds or minutes, and the downloaded options here and the expiration options become more applicable, because in this scenario, I'm going to go ahead and claim that we've got some final payment issues that need to be resolved with the client. We haven't received final payment from the client. So rather than sharing the files that are enabled for download, I'm going to disable download so that you can view the files, but not quite download them. And that we're also going to set an expiration, a date, and a password to password protect the data. So now when I share this link, again, I can share it by email just by pressing the send link button. That's going to automatically launch my email client, send that email out. The shared page is now going to require a password, which I can enter in. And when that password is entered, we've got this client delivery for client review. And now, again, the client's going to have easy access, secure access. We've turned off downloads in this case, so he can't download the files, but he can still view things like the 3D mesh and the 3D assemblies and the drawing files and any of the other data that we've uploaded in the file into the page, so that he can check out the results, see some of the drawings, see some of the information that's gone up here, and get that final deliverable for exactly what he's looking for. So that would be the last step of the process for a typical service cycle, and basically we've rounded up the 4 tasks, which is to finally deliver it to the client. At this point, I want to just relay and communicate and continue the communication with the engineers on the project, Mike specifically. So over here, I would say something like, we've rounded up the project's done, and say the client loves it, for example. Nice work, Mike. Just to finish up the project. And that would be an example of the full service cycle, from getting the requirements data, setting up some of the requirements, laying out the tasks, and then following through on the tasks, which include uploading files and creating some delivery pages for the end user client. Okay, so that basically wraps up the demo here, and at this point we're going to change the activity back to you. There's going to be a question and answer session that's going to follow up, so we'll have some good question and answers coming in, but first another survey question. So let's wrap up the survey, and thank you for looking at this demo.
All right. Well, thank you, Scott, Mike, and Mike, for the presentation. We hope you all enjoyed kind of getting an opportunity to see the day in the life of a team platform user. Got some great questions. So I'm just going to kind of start from the top down here and work through them. Scott, can you just reiterate a little bit about the engagement process between a customer and a team platform user? There were a couple questions about, do they log in, you know, do they log in to you, you know, do you just send them a link, you know, kind of how do they engage in the process with it?
Sure. What we've set up is we have Mike as a member of the VisPower team. Now, if I were to be working with an outside contractor or a client even, I may allow this client or contractor inside of the team platform team. So I would send out a formal invitation. If you remember, I invited Mike to the workspace. Here you can see we've got 2 people inside of the workspace. By sharing with a contractor or another engineer or somebody inside of anybody really, all you have to do is enter in their email address, and they would be sent an invitation to immediately join the workspace. This allows them to fully engage in the workspace in the same way that Mike did. Now, if I set a read-only option, there's other permission layers, and you can establish some more granularity when sharing a workspace. Now, in the demonstration, we did a client share, and this was through a web page. The web page is basically a URL. It's like any other web page that you visit on the internet. If you had a password on top of that, then it's password protected. But it's worth noting and worth pointing out that this is an encoded web page, so it's going to be very difficult to figure out the URL. It's a bunch of random characters and random numbers. So for all practical purposes, it's a password, it's a web page that'll never be discovered. So only the people that have the link are going to be able to access it. So what we've showed is two different ways to take part in the workspace. One is a collaborator inside of the workspace. That's what Mike and I were doing, and the other is with a shared page, and that's what I exposed to the client for both upload at the start of the project and data delivery at the end of the project.
Awesome. Next question is, how can you prevent cases when two engineers have modified the same sync file at the same time?
You can control the versioning of files and look back at the versioning of the files. So if an engineer uploads a synced file, that will be stored as a revision. And if another engineer uploads a file, that will also be stored as a revision. The file notification tools within the workspace send out notifications whenever a file is modified or changed. For example, when the customer uploaded files, I would send a notification. And when Mike uploaded files, I was also send a notification. So you can resolve file conflicts and revision issues by virtue of the notification method. Plus, all earlier versions are stored inside a team platform, so it's fairly easy to resolve any of those issues if they come up. For the most part, an engineer is going to be working on a single part of a project, so you can those issues don't come up very often.
An additional kind to that, somebody asked, this is a combination of two questions, but can the client sign off on the design in that custom site you send them? So, basically using the comments section. Then also, can a team member or customer review a version of that design object?
It's a good question. Within the shared page, let's just go back to that shared page. We do have comment capability here. Now, if you're working with a client and you are interacting with him via email, it might be reasonable to ask for an approval in a email. So email is a good way to get an approval, something on the phone or right here inside of the workspace. You can add that comment. The benefit of doing that inside of here is that that will be stored inside of the workspace, and then all parties will be notified once that approval takes place. So yeah, you can certainly do it in here if you wanted to. What was the other question, Tom?
The other question, so you just answered the file changes. Sorry, let me pull it up here. I pulled it down. Oh no, you kind of answered that too, so we're okay there. Can you look back at? Yeah. You can look back at early revisions of files, and any of the comments or meta information that you apply to a file. Specifically comments stick to the version number, so you've got information on when that comment took place on the file. Okay. I want to move quickly for a few minutes here away from, we got a couple more questions about team member and client enablement, but I want to talk a little bit about the models. So there are a couple questions here about models. The first one is, what are the limitations on the 3D model? Size, complexity, amount of triangles to be viewed in the browser?
Okay, for the solid models are going to be able to work with a wide variety of formats, SolidWorks, CATIA, Inventor, Solid Edge, Pro-E, NX, as well as standard file formats like IGES and STEP, plus mesh file formats like STL and a variety of scan data formats. The limitations on file size are essentially dependent on the browser. This allows approximately a mesh of about 1 million triangles, so you can upload and rotate a mesh of that size, and that's going to be within the full 3D view. There's no limitation on the file size that you upload, so if you have a gigabyte set of scan data, you can upload that If there's a 5 gigabyte set of scan data, there's no problem uploading that. By virtue of the sync client, even if you have a disrupted upload, the files will make it all the way up to Team Platform. And for any of the mesh files that do go up, you have the 2D view. So that's going to be the view that is shown here. So even if it exceeds the limit of what the browser is capable of viewing, you can always look at it in the 2D view.
And then just kind of going along with it, can you go back to maybe the assembly tree look, for example? Somebody wanted to see, can we see it work with a large assembly? Maybe the coffee press has 6 parts. Can you show them a little bit about that assembly tree functionality inside of one of the model views?
Sure. Let's go back to the robot workspace. I think it has a couple of additional layers on the part, and we'll look at some of the files. It's worth noting that we can do has component where is used lookup, but this looks like it's the main assembly, and it has a couple of additional layers. But you can have very large assemblies on the part, on the models that you're working with multiple layers and multiple versions. This has 3 layers, but there's really no limit to the relationships that can be established in an assembly. It can be a very large assembly. That would be no problem for Team Platform.
And then, there's people asking questions, for example, SOLIDWORKS 2014 file types, etc. To date, are there any current or existing, major CAD platforms or anything where there are any restrictions, or is it just wide open across all platforms?
For virtually all of the major CAD formats, we're supporting the format. Now, there are some formats that are releasing new versions on a regular basis. So a typical upgrade cycle for the new version of SOLIDWORKS would take place, or the new version of CATIA or a new version of NX would take place relatively early and soon after it was released. So we try and keep up as well as we can with the latest versions of the latest CAD systems. One of the nice things about working with a large company like 3D Systems is that we are able to establish some really good contracts with the vendors that help support us and allow us to visualize multiple different CAD formats. Because of this, we expect to have very prompt response to the latest versions and to the foreseeable future. So that's something that should benefit users going forward.
There's been some questions, and I'll field this one here. The questions about certain integrations with Geomagic Solutions products, and that is something that is happening as we roll out either updates or new products on the Geomagic Solutions side. So things like DesignX, formerly known as XOR, and other products along that line will have or already have the integration directly to Team Platform, which will give you kind of the same interaction what Mike showed you as FileSync does. So it's available and will continue to be made available as we move things along. There's some questions here in regards to confidentiality and security. So I'm gonna note both of these here. How can you guarantee that my confidential drawings and CAD files are safe on your server? That's the first question.
Okay, Team Platform provides 256-bit SSL encryption, which happens to be the same type of encryption that your financial institutions use, banks that is, when transferring funds and moving data around. So that's what we have as an encryption backbone. The data is stored on redundant servers. So I'm going to address a little bit more than the security issue and privacy issue at this point. The data is stored on redundant servers, so it's stored on multiple servers. So if there happens to be a natural disaster in one area, then there's backed up files in different locations, and it helps ensure uptime and availability of the data. The data that is uploaded to Team Platform is entirely owned by the team that uploads it. So if your team uploads it, you can upload the data and you have complete ownership. Team Platform doesn't have access to the data. We can't see any of the files. We can't see any of the workspaces. We have absolutely no access to the data. However, you can share it with us. So if there's a support question or if you needed to ask a question, you can share it with us just in the same ways that I was sharing data with Mike in the sample scenario. We're sharing data on the outside scenario. But basically, the account owner has complete control over who has access to the data, and he or she can revoke it at any time. Those are some of the ways that we ensure that the data is safe and it is private and belongs to you yourself as the account owner.
Okay, and then another question that came in around that was, well, there's a couple about history, but let's focus. Sorry, my questions just went away. Someone want to know about locking files. So what they want to know is, can you lock a file from changes or check out a file for changes, to reduce the amount of interaction on any file in a particular workspace?
Yes, you can lock a workspace, and that effectively locks all of the content within the workspace. So within a workspace, I mentioned a read-only type of setting. So we have that concept for workspaces. So any finished files can be locked down and prevented from being accessed or changed. So that's one of the methods that can be used to lock files. As I mentioned, you have revision control and email notifications when there are any changes too, but the way to lock files would be using that method.
Okay. And can Team Platform be installed on a local network, or is it simply a cloud-based solution only?
Team Platform is only a cloud-based solution. So a subscription of Team Platform includes the members that have access to the account. It includes the storage. It includes the workspaces. So everything is provided inside of Team Platform. So the data that you upload to Team Platform gets stored on Team Platform. Now, Mike Sang demonstrated the sync, and I also happen to have the files synced to my computer too. So you can also always sync the files and keep the data locally, but that's just a local copy of the files on Team Platform. So Team Platform provides the storage and all of the access.
Okay. And if you were a manager, is there a way to do an overview screen that could show a snapshot status of all active projects they're responsible for? Noting, since, we've showed before that you could have multiple projects going at one time, is there a way to kind of snapshot that, or at very least clean it up a little bit so that you know what's active and what's not, maybe using the star feature or something like that?
Yeah, we have, okay, so accessibility is a good question. As a manager, there's a lot of important views, and this starts to get into some of the details of Team Platform and how it can benefit the manager. Up to this point, we focused on a relatively simple demonstration of sharing files, setting up some standardization between projects. There's a couple of views, including this view, which is the workspace list. Now, if I'm a manager, then I can look at just the workspaces that are owned by me, and then I can also drill down to workspaces with a particular label. So if I've labeled a project a service project, then I can look at just the service project workspaces. I also have additional views like a dashboard that allow me to set up custom widgets that I can filter and I can drill down to based on some criteria, like for example, do I own it, or is it have a specific label, or is it got a specific workspace title? So I can set up my own custom dashboard. And in addition to the tasks view within a single workspace, I can show a compendium of tasks across multiple workspaces, and I can see the status of tasks tasks of everything that's going on. And again, I can filter these down, drill down to tasks that are assigned to me and owned by me. And then in addition, it's worth pointing out there's a calendar view that allows me to have that high-level observation of a lot of things that are going on. So it's very easy for a manager or a workspace or a company owner to quickly view everything that's going on across the platform in a very quick sort of way.
Thanks. That was perfect. There's a two-part question here. Can you show the state and version in a file example, and can I extract reports about these projects?
Yes. Let's start with the state of the version on a file. Yes, you can look at the version of a file that's going to show up on any file that gets uploaded to Team Platform. So let's see if we can find one that has a version, and I think we can over here. So this list view of the files it's basically the same as what we're looking for. It's just the list view. So this has got a comment on it, and it's got two versions of the file. We can see that the comment was left on the second version of the file, and if I look at the file versions, I'm able to see the current version, and then I can also list other versions of the file, for example, version 1, and then either restore that or view that going forward. The files here happen to have a meta tag on them. This is under review and release, so you can add those kind of meta tags to help sort and search and identify files that have been shared. The other question was, can you export data from a workspace? And the answer is yes. Part of the ownership of all the data that's on Team Platform means that the data belongs to you. So in a single click from any workspace, you can download all of the files in a zip. So if there's any reason why you needed to get your data out, you could do that. Plus, you can export in Excel the full content of the workspace. This is going to export file information, version information, page information, task. It's going to basically export the information of the workspace so that you can keep that available. Now, it's also worth pointing out, since we're just talking about workspace history and workspace activity, you have a full activity trail inside of the workspace. So if you're looking for any type of ISO or quality type of insurance and traceability activity and what's been going on, it's all going to be listed right here inside of the workspace. So there's a variety of ways to export that data out.
Great. I think that's about it, folks. I mean, most of the rest of the questions revolved around, I think, a lot of the answers that Scott provided. Of course, you can always visit www.teamplatform.com for another full feature listing and some additional information, as well as some case studies of companies that have been using this product and the different types of workflows and things that they've established as a result. A recording of this webinar will be made available, and a link will be sent either tomorrow or Monday, so that you can review the content again. And any questions that we were unable to answer, we will make sure to reach out to you individually and get back to those answers as quickly as possible. So I want to thank you again for attending today's webinar. Thank you, Scott, Mike, and Mike, for a great presentation. And everyone have a wonderful day.